Welcome to the new vlog. Dear viewers, as of today we are watching the situation in Afghanistan. Each coming day is folding new turns the ongoing situation is taking. Yes, we see there have been great games played inside the great game in Afghanistan. But we see is on the ground games while actually these games were planned in the mind of few very smartest people in the world, who are sitting in their offices and not fighting on the mountains. There have been world's top intelligence agencies present in Afghanistan since the Russian invasion took place. From that very day till now many intelligence agencies were fighting their way to achieve their respective objectives. Dear viewers, we are going to discuss this most interesting topic today. How many agencies are working in Afghanistan and what they were doing. Afghanistan remained interesting region for many international powers since 1960 when Russian aids and influence was making its way into the government and commoners' corridors. Many fell for the glitters it brought to this nation. Since that time it alerted many countries and many spies from many countries landed for espionage on growing influence of former USSR as well to protect their country's interest. Western part of the world was already had a fear of communism that may make advances steadily towards West, and it really did. However, getting back to the subject we started with, many of the spies started their career from assignments in Afghanistan and their career ended there. This is why Afghanistan is called a huge subject in the spies world. There have been numerous times when one intel agency took leads over opponents, but the other times they had to face defeat. There would hardly be any well-known intel agency that has not entered in Afghanistan. Not all, but at least top 10 agencies were inside to work as per their agenda. Before going further, we request our viewers to subscribe our channel as well as like and comment in the comment section below. Do inform us with your valuable opinion about our work. Thanks. Central Intelligence Agency, USA, the most famous and is counted in the top 10 intelligence agency in the world. CIA is known to be having the most numbers of agent at times in Afghanistan, as well is also known to have been working here for the longest time. CIA expanded its network when USSR was growing influence in Afghanistan. US was monitoring situation and was keeping an eye on the internal situation. CIA was present before USSR invaded Afghanistan in 1979. The deteriorating situation of Afghan defense forces against USSR enforced CIA to develop a resistance of mujahideens. CIA along with Pakistan's ISI gathered jihadis from Muslim countries and supplied with necessary weaponry and money to stop the advancements of Russian army. However, in the last 20 years, after NATO invasion of Afghanistan, CIA was engaged holding control over Afghanistan, to make sure US presence, to take control of Afghanistan mineral deposits, monitoring and controlling the whole region, to help out Israel and India. These two countries have long been suffering from the fear of Pakistan. That's why one of the core job of CIA was to pressurize Pakistan as well, installing Indian RA and protecting their assets and activities inside Afghanistan, which were basically against Pakistan. India and Israel's Mossad were involved in operating terrorists training camps that we have already mentioned in our previous vlog, Biggest Loser in Afghan War. You may check out on our channel later. Other important tasks were blocking Chinese entry into Afghanistan by any means. This was one of the most important tasks on the agenda of CIA, as Chinese future plans were linked with investments in this region that also includes Afghanistan. It was believed that as long as NATO will remain here and CIA will operate openly, Chinese advancement could easily be jeopardized. Beside all these, one of the assignment was to control the so-called terrorism and to hunt down Al-Qaeda. Well, it was expected. One must not think that CIA is only involved in terrorists' activities, but they were also working to curb on the pretext under which US and NATO invaded Afghanistan. Next comes the Israel's Mossad on our list. Mossad was engaged in future planning to protect their interest in this region. Since Israel is not recognized by Afghanistan, that's why they don't have an embassy, but in such countries Mossad operates usually with CIA or MI6 or from the embassy of any other country. It was great for the Mossad to sit close to Iran and also Pakistan. These countries pose a constant threat to Israel according to their thinking, which developed even before Israel came into being. Since Afghanistan share borders with both of these countries and both of them could be pressurized by keeping Afghanistan's security situation worse and also to help out Indian raw terror operations inside Pakistan. Pakistan is already a known nuclear power while Iran is endeavoring to become one. Afghanistan could have been the best place to monitor the situation while sitting close by. GRU, Russia. GRU is mainly involved in the intelligence operations out of Russian borders. In the USSR times it was KGB, a famous intelligence agency, whenever USSR is under discussion. Russia has a decades-old dream to have access to hot waters, for which they invaded Afghanistan during 1979, the plan to make advances up to Pakistan's and Iran's coasts. These ports could establish a route for exporting its product to international markets. A dream that could not come true. The second objective of invading Afghanistan to get hold on the mineral deposits of $1 trillion, hidden in Afghanistan and the Baluchistan province of Pakistan. However, it remained a dream and USSR had to meet a shameful defeat. GRU was also present in Afghanistan with the objective of keeping eye on NATO forces, especially the CIA, to take revenge from US of their defeat in Afghanistan, to safeguard their interest in the region. To protect borders right from the Central Asian states. MI6, the Military Intelligence Section 6, commonly known as MI6 of UK. The role of MI6 was same as CIA, usually as an ally of USA. They operate jointly with CIA for the same objective with little or no difference. Here in Afghanistan, MI6 was operating to protect the Western interest and blocking Chinese influence in the region. During 2006, a massive operation was launched against Chinese companies and even Chinese restaurants were shut down all across Afghanistan, though mainly in Kabul, as the writ of coalition forces was limited to few main cities. MSS, China, Ministry of State Security, China. The main objective was to monitor the country's situation closely, keeping an eye on anti-China elements. Chinese concern and plans were to make investments in Afghanistan, to get hold of mines and minerals, to make investments in country's industry to make money out of it by utilizing cheap and abundant labor. Most of the Chin's interests are capitalistic, not like creating armed groups and civil war-like situation as we see in the Western strategies. China simply wants to become a superpower, and as they are utilizing resources of other countries, same they wanted to do here. DGSE, France. General Directorate of External Security of France. One of the US ally and had the same objective as CIA and MI6. However, they also cooperated with Indian RA. We see France has supplied Indian with its most modern Rafale jets. ASIS, Australia. As per their country's interest, they sided with US and has common objective like MI6. Australia is also member of QUOD group and is always found to stand against China in the international politics. RA, India, Research and Analysis Wing, India. RA was keeping Pakistan and China busy with their security situation. RA was operating terror camps inside Afghanistan to attack Pakistan. Similarly, RA was also funding and training a movement which was involved in attacking inside China's territories via Turkmenistan. RA was also protecting Indian investments in Afghanistan. RA was monitoring and countering Russian and Chinese influence on Central Asian states. CIA provided leverage for the Indian standing in Afghanistan, many of the RA operatives were working along CIA in various Afghan ministries. Sabotaging trade transit route which was being developed between China and Pakistan was one of the major tasks assigned to RA. As we see today, Pakistan had to lose $150 billion in economy due to terrorist attacks conducted by RA and had to lose over 70,000 lives including security personnel along with innocent civilians. Many separatist movements were developed and operated by RA and their terrorists were trained in Afghanistan to conduct attacks inside Pakistan. RA was behind the planning of most tragic and inhumane attack in Pakistan's history, the Army Public School in Peshawar city. The attack claimed the lives of over 200 children. RA influenced and funded the anti-Pakistan lobby in Ghani regime to be vocal against Pakistan, pasting numerous allegations in the aftermath of any incidents in Afghanistan. It was well noted that Ghani became a puppet of Indian government and was used by Indians to push their agenda. It was considered great success of Indian RA at that time. NDS of Afghanistan also facilitated RA. Indians wanted to get near to US, keeping their atrocities in Kashmir under the carpet by making Afghanistan's security situation in focus for the world. RA started spoiler job when the peace deal between Taliban and US was in progress. The reason was if US exits from Afghanistan, there will no protection and reason for India to stay anymore and all the investment will go in vain that Indians made so far in Afghanistan. For the same objective, RA conducted many bomb attacks in a bid to force NATO to extend their stay in Afghanistan. However, successful peace deal between Taliban and US is considered failure of RA. MOIS, Iran, Ministry of Intelligence and Security, was mainly concerned with their own security. Since the relations of Iran remained volatile with Saudi Arabia and Israel. What all they wanted to is to have influence inside Afghanistan all the times in order to monitor activities which may hurt their interests. They were committed to protect their border along Afghanistan. Iran has developed influence since decades on Hazara Shia community. Further, they managed to develop relations with Talibans and even there is allegation on Iran that they have provided Talibans with weapons. MOIS usually maintains a proxy wherever they find Saudi influence. So these three were the core objectives of MOIS. Protecting borders, maintaining a proxy and to defend their interest in Afghanistan. ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence Pakistan, is one of the most experienced intel agency in Afghanistan besides CIA as we mentioned earlier. ISI was fighting the war of survival for their country. ISI is thought to be involved in countering many agencies simultaneously besides protecting their interest. As CIA, RA, Mossad, MI6 were either involved directly or indirectly facilitated Indian RA for pushing the terrorism war inside Pakistan. During the NATO stay in Afghanistan, CIA, MI6 and RA infiltrated their agents in bordering city of Pakistan. The result was hundreds of bomb and terrorists attacks on civilians population as well as on the military and other strategic installations. ISI had to fight the intelligence war on both the fronts. They were defending Pakistan's interest and also attacks inside Pakistan. In the recent situation, ISI is considered the most successful intelligence agency not only in Afghan war but also it ranks on top of the list for conducting most successful number of operations. According to the international experts' opinion, in which most are Indians, in the recent episode of Fall of Kabul, ISI effectively negotiated with Afghan warlords to stay out of war against Taliban. This also includes many governors. ISI is thought to have convinced a large majority of Afghan army officers to surrender to Taliban. Furthermore, it is believed that ISI successfully infiltrated in Afghan government and even the Afghan intel agency NDS, fooling them to make wrong war strategies to counter Taliban's offensive and enforced Ashraf Ghani to escape from Kabul. This is what experts think that's how they managed the whole episode of Fall of Kabul. Most Indian security analysts are convinced that ISI is the brain of Taliban as they don't have any intel agency. Though none from Pakistan has claimed all this, but whatever is happening in Afghanistan is perfectly what ISI wanted and suits best to the interest of Pakistan and China. For ISI this war was matter of their survival. Above all this, the whole plan worked out against rather far beyond the speculations of the all other agencies working in Afghanistan since 2001 at least. It was of no secret that US and its allies came with extreme plans to execute against Pakistan and China from the launchpad of Kabul, about which ISI was well informed already. Dear viewers, we hope you would have liked our vlog. Please do share the ranking of intel agencies you have at your mind in the comment section below. We will be back with another vlog. Thanks.